there's a specific kind of exhaustion that comes with having a heavy week surrounding an anniversary that is tied to grief, and then also having to deal with the chaos in your life. And today I just kind of want to talk about what that looks like and to just give you a opportunity to realize that if you're feeling this way, you are not alone, and I get it. Welcome to Mel's Diary, unscripted. Let's dive in. Hey everybody. Today I want to talk to you about a topic that isn't easy, right, for any of us to talk about, and that in a word is grief, and how grief has so many different facets to it and affects our lives in so many different ways. And today specifically, I want to talk to you about struggling with grief when you are coming up on a specific anniversary. In my case, it's the anniversary of when we lost our oldest daughter. It'll be 8 years this week, and as the anniversary approaches, I find that certain types of struggles that would normally be irritating and aggravating and annoying are so much more than that. They are just so much more aggravating, and for myself, I find that at times like this, when I am struggling even more, that I can find myself in a position like I did today, where I have been arguing with my doctor's office and my medical insurance company about just getting a prescription refill authorization. It's all I needed. And I was due to take it's a shot, and I was due to take it 10 days ago, and it's been really aggravating, right, to continue going around and around with the medical insurance and the doctor's office, and feel like I'm being given a different story literally every single time I speak to them. And today, when I called the insurance company because they had still not gotten this authorization squared away, I kind of lost it at them. I was just so mad. I was so mad, because I've been arguing with them for weeks, and I was thinking about it since I got off the phone, and it was like there was this little voice in my brain that was like, do you think maybe your reaction was just a tiny bit over the top there? And I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And It's like, it was the Holy Spirit. Like, but don't you think it was just maybe a little too loud and a little too much. We're just gonna go with a little too much. And then it was like this little prompt, like, is there a reason why maybe you a little too much today? And I was like, no. Yeah, total lie. And I was like, well, maybe. And I know I have a history of this, right? You know, it's coming up on a time where I don't know what it is about those anniversaries. You know, you think that you've kind of plateaued and you're just like your grief isn't going anywhere. You know, it's just kind of hit this point. You're like, okay, yeah, you have your like better days and your worst days, and then it's just like you're looking at the calendar and it just marks that another year has passed, and just all of these emotions and feelings and things rise up inside of you, and you're just, it's like something inside of you just feels like it needs something that it can control, you know, some circumstance in your life that you can establish and retake control, because you just feel like your entire world is out of control. And then somebody comes along, like an insurance company, and gives you a completely valid reason to freak out at them. And you do. And then you're like, I feel like I just need to have a sign that goes ahead of me, like, warning, warning, grieving lady coming through, watch out. But of course, life doesn't work like that, right? And a lot of people don't necessarily give an allowance for something like that, right? They're just like, oh, it's been however many years. In this case, 8 years. And you should be over it by now. Speaking of that, after this, at some point, I am hoping to do a series of short form, hopefully, videos about things not to say to someone who's grieving. And a bonus tip, you should be over it by now is definitely on the list of things you should never, ever say to someone who's grieving. Because it's not true, you know? It's not. You change, you know? Grief changes you. And anyone who says that it doesn't, I would challenge whether or not they really cared about the other person. Because it does change you. And if they don't think it did, they're either lying or they're crazy. I learned that one the hard way. But my point is that I just want to say, for those of you who might be struggling with grief in your life, it's okay to give yourself a little extra grace, especially during times that you know are harder. It sounds so wrong to say that days that are harder. What are you talking about? They're all hard. But the truth is, there are days that are harder. There are days when you're like, it's like grief kind of sits down inside of you. And my low battery just went. Um, it just sort of sits down inside of you like this permanent weight. And then there's other days where it is just destroying you from the inside out. And unfortunately, we don't always know when those days are going to be. One thing I will say that surprised me was I have found fairly consistently that it's not always the anniversary itself. You know, before this, I really thought it would be the day itself that's the hardest, but for me, it seems to be the days that lead up to that day. So we can't always just schedule our lives around grief. We just have to give ourselves some grief and not ignore the way we feel. It is really not helpful. At least I haven't found it to be. And one thing I will say I have learned, and I actually learned this concept before we lost our daughter, but it grew new meaning after she was gone. And that was, feel however you need to feel. It's okay. Be mad, be sad, be angry, be upset, whatever you need to feel. It's okay to feel it. Just don't build a house and live there. Just let yourself feel it and leave it in that house and walk out, or don't even build a house. Just feel it and let yourself experience it. This isn't really a topic necessarily for today, but one of these days I am going to talk to you about how I perceive grief, and I call it the elephant in the room. Grief is the elephant in my room, and I have noticed that when I ignore it, it gets bigger and louder. But when I acknowledge it and I talk to it and I allow it to know that I see it, it gets a little quieter and it gets a little calmer. It doesn't knock over so much furniture. But just remember, okay? Give yourself grace. It's really important, okay? Until next time, take care.